right, hello wine drinking people. We're back. It's Wednesday, September 8th. Isabella Rose Lampesona's birthday. We won't be opening up any of the big bottles of Lewis, though. She's still a bit young to be drinking any of the wine that I bought for her in large format. But hopefully that California stuff will last another 8-10 years. Should in that large format bottle. All right, well, what did I have to drink yesterday? Well, yesterday was a busy day in the store. Man, we had a lot of drinking going on in the store yesterday. That's a day we like. We get like 2 or 3 suppliers in here with 8 or 10 wines apiece. Man, that's what I'm here for, folks. You know? That's what I get out of bed for in the morning. Taste wine. All right. Well, we had a cameo from Jeff. He just stopped in with one wine. Kind of ironic that someone just asked about this wine last week. Actually, we ordered the red, the Contini Zaccanini. This is a wine from Abruzzi. And actually, this white wine is a IGT from Collini Pescarisi, which is a larger area that Abruzzi is inside of. And it's a blend of Chardonnay and Trebbiano, a little light citrus fruit and that little wet kind of chalk stone minerality to it. Really light and refreshing on the palate, only 11.5% alcohol. So you may need a little more of this to get your buzz going, but really refreshing and really nice. Similar to a lot of these inexpensive Italian white wines that you get from unique areas like this. But this one, not very distinctive, just pretty enjoyable. All right. Next up, kind of deja vu, man. I get suppliers in the store and they start pulling wines out of the bag, and I'm like, man, I've had that wine. I've had that wine. I've had that wine. Hey, this next tasting, I've had almost every wine in the tasting, and they were all great a second time. Thank you very much, Pandora, for bringing these by again. And the first time you brought them by, we actually sold some on the What I Drank yesterday, so we'll see if we sell some again today. First up, we had a Buehler Chardonnay from the Russian River, and Buehler is actually a winery from Napa, but they do make some wine from purchased fruit in this Russian River Chardonnay. Pretty typical Russian River, lightly buttered toast, peaches, pears, some nice tropical fruit on the nose, a little bit of creme brulee, vanilla bean creme brulee also. Textbook Russian River Chardonnay, smooth and creamy on the tongue, and a lot of nice ripe tropical fruit, and just a hint of oak on the finish. Very nice, and very nice price also at $17. All right, next up, the Cabernet from Napa. All right, well, man, Napa Cab used to be so expensive. It's lovely to see some great choices in the $20 price range. And this Buehler is about 30 to 40% estate bottle, and then they purchase some fruit to round it out. But a really nice everyday Cabernet, ripe cherry, currant berry fruit on the nose, a little bit of dark chocolate and fresh plowed earth, and really nice and forward on the palate. Very fruity. This 07 vintage, an outstanding vintage in Napa Valley. Finishes a little short, but has got really nice fruit and just a little bit of oak. Very good balance. A really nice wine for $20 a bottle. All right, next up we have our probably the best value I've had in the store all year, and it's from Portugal. This Dow's Quinta de Bonfim wine. We had a number of people hit this on the website because the 07 Dow's got 100 points from the Wine Spectator. No, folks, this is not the Dow's that got 100 points. That was the port. That was the one we missed out in this market because the distributor forgot to order it. And then it got 100 points, and the rest is history. But this is a great little valley, and this wine came about because they limit the amount of port that can be made every year. So they had to find something to do with these other grapes other than just make spirits out of them. So they started making some dry red wines, and they have a lot of great old plant material in the Douro Valley, and actually they replanted a lot of this stuff in the 90s also, so this is a combination of both those replanted and some of the old plant material, but a fabulous little value. This wine used to be $17 a bottle. Now we have it down to like $10 a bottle. What a stunning little wine. It's got that lovely terroir that you get from Portugal, this rustic, fresh earth note, blackberry, black cherry fruit, and lovely freshness. Quite a bit more than a nice little quaffer here, and a great price, $10 a bottle. Wow. The late bottle vintage port was up next, and I like a nice stiff beverage in the middle of the afternoon, and port's 20% alcohol, 2004 great vintage, late bottle vintage being some of the best values in a port from Portugal. And this is a wine that's kept in wood for 5 to 6 years before it's bottled, unlike vintage port, which is only kept in wood for 2 years. That's why it needs to age a little longer in the bottle before you drink it. The late bottle vintages are aged longer in the bottle, so in the barrel, so they're a little more ready to drink on release. And this wine had this lovely sweet black cherry liqueur, a little bit of dried orange peel to it. Dow's is considered the driest of the Symington Port family, and they now control over 75% of the Douro. Wow, is that a monopoly yet? They're getting close, man. But a little bit of balsamic and brown sugar in there as well, and It's had a little bit of that spirity hotness on the finish, but it has 20% alcohol. And then nicely balanced, though. Good freshness on the end. The best value I have in the store at $20 for an everyday drinking port. All right, next up, the Graham 6 Grape, which Graham's tends to be the sweetest of all these port houses. And I like this wine, but I like the late bottle vintage better, and it's cheaper. Enough said. All right, then the 10-year Tawny. Tawny, some of my favorites. I think they really start at 10 years. Some producers make a Tawny that's 5 to 7 years, but it ain't Tawny till it's 10 years old, in my opinion. You get that lovely nutty character, walnuts, hazelnuts, dates and figs and brown sugar, brown spices, Christmas cake on the nose. Very complex. And 10 years is just before you start to get some of that rancido kind of character that you get from wines that are aged in oak for a very long time. So still very fresh and a pretty good value, $30. Next up, the 20-year Tawny. This is where you start to get some of that rancido character you get when a wine is in wood for a long time. And a little bit of that I find very appealing. Still had all those nutty characters to it, just a little bit more amplified, kind of turning into a little cashew and almonds, and then brown sugar, and a little bit of that candied orange peel also starting to come out as these wines get a little older, but smooth and creamy on the tongue, and still a little bit of heat, but again, nice freshness on the finish. And then we had a little, and that's it for the ports, folks. I wish they would have brought the 30 and 40 year by, but usually they don't sample you on those. They do have them available. They've got this lovely 100 years of port vertical gift set available. If anybody's interested in those, I'm happy to get you a price on it. Thank you very much, Pandora. Another excellent tasting of the same wines that I had just a few months ago. All right, next up, we had the guys from Palm Bay, and they brought by a few things from Ferrari, one of the great sparkling wine producers of Italy. And these wines spend an awful long time on the lees for being as reasonably priced as they are. 4 years, the Brut on the lees. That is an incredible investment to set aside a bottle of wine for that long before you release it. And these wines are made with the method champenoise, the same way that they make the great champagnes from France. This wine is 100% Chardonnay, really light, flinty, kind of minerally notes on the nose, lemon citrus and candied ginger, fairly dry style, which is why I like these wines, with a little bit of that saline quality to the finish. But really nice, lovely, creamy mousse. The rosé I like much better than the last time I had it. This wine is a Saignée with 40% Pinot and 60% Chardonnay, so they leave the juice in contact with the skins for a short period of time in order to get the color out. There's two ways you can make rosé. You can just blend in still red wine also and make rosé. That's the way most people do it. The Saignée method is a little more difficult to maintain a consistent color every year. Light red cherry fruit with some light smoke, and again some flinty notes to this, and a little orange peel coming out in that. But a nice light cranberry-like fruit on the tongue, and then again a little drier style, which I really like. I tend to gravitate toward the drier styles of sparklers. Some nice floral and mineral notes on the finish. Excellent. And then the Perlé. Perlé is German for sparkling, and you start to get, this wine is 2002 vintage, some of that marzipan, nougat, and caramel coming out in this, very complex, some aromas that you get from more champagnes that are a little older, that have been aged. This is 100% Chardonnay, and still some lovely brioche, and lemon citrus also showing with this, ginger spice, and a little candied red apple. Fairly complex on the palate, a good amount of minerality, and those roasted nut flavors coming out again through the finish. Really nice. All right, next up we had some wines from Palenta, and these wines are, this is one of the most important wineries of Sicily. The Chardonnay was Wine of the Year in the Wine Spectator in the 90s, and that's the wine they're probably best known for, but the little La Segreta wines are entry-level wines, the Bianco and Rosso, really nice little table wines for every day. The Chardonnay tended to be a little austere yesterday and maybe not showing at its best, but like I said, this is the wine that they're best known for. And then the Chiarasuolo, very nice. The Syrah, a really nice Northern Rhone style Syrah, very fresh, not your over-the-top Australian Shiraz, even though it did have some sun-dried fruit character, finished fairly dry and savory. And then the Santa Cecilia, one of the best Nero d'Avo's coming out of Sicily. Some really good stuff there. Check out the reviews on all the Planeta wines. And then, I'm having wine with dinner. That's at the Lamposoni house, man. It's a crime if we don't have 1 or 2 bottles at least open. And last night we had a little Rocca di Principi. This is a Fiano di Avellino, one of the new wines from the Indigenous Selections portfolio, and we just had like a half a bottle of this left over in the fridge. And this wine has got a lovely, clean bouquet of white flowers, a little chalky minerality, lemon citrus, a nice creamy texture on the tongue, very weighty, and a nice long finish with a little bit of that minerality that you get from Campania. A very nice little wine and a really nice price, like $16, $17 on sale here at the Wine Watch. And then I had a little Hall Cabernet Sauvignon. For some reason, I just felt like Cabernet Sauvignon last night, and man, I couldn't even take down the whole bottle of this wine. It's still a little bit intense right now. I wanted to see what it was going to taste like the second night it's open. A lot of intense fruit, cassis, currants, black cherries, and then a lot of toasty oak spice, dark chocolate. A wine to me that needs a little bit of time. The 06 vintage can be a little bit tannic, some of the wines anyways, but I'm going to let you know tomorrow how the rest of the bottle was on the What I Drank Yesterday show. All right, well, that's what I drank yesterday, folks. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.